We're going to go now to Congressman Rick Crawford. Been waiting for this interview all morning. It's always great to have him on Fridays. Congressman Rick Crawford, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't envy you. What you guys are going through up there with Adam Schiff. You're on that committee. What can you tell us? What's your reaction with what's been going on the last couple of weeks?
Well, first off, just kind of bring it home a little bit. I was at my son's football game a week ago tonight, a week ago last night, rather. It was a week ago Thursday, and I've known these parents now for years, and our kids play football together and the whole nine. We've never really talked politics. They just come up and just, hey, how are things in Washington? That's been kind of the extent of it. And all four sides, I'm getting it from people in the bleachers that are going, how in the world do you put up with Adam Schiff? And it's like, 3 weeks ago, nobody even knew who Adam Schiff was. And now everybody does, and they all hate him. And so the idea that somehow he's elevating himself to some, national prominence, that's a gross miscalculation on his part. But what's driving this disdain for him is the fact that he's just not being honest about anything. And so the more we see about this whistleblower complaint, the more you dissect it and the more information that comes out, the more you see this is a contrived plot against the president. And now it's being reported, multiple sources are reporting that the whistleblower is in fact an associate of Joe Biden. And so the question then is, we already know that Adam Schiff knew who the whistleblower was well in advance. He knew about the complaint well in advance before sharing it with us on the committee. And so we have to assume that he knew that he was associated with Joe Biden. In fact, the ICIG indicated in his comments in his hearing that, in fact, he was a Democrat and identified as a Democrat and recognized that there was a potential for bias. But he didn't specify any association with a particular candidate, but there was the projection at one point that this individual was associated with a 2020 candidate. Well, the 2020 candidate in question turns out to be Joe Biden himself. So you see where we're going with this. I mean, Again, this is a Steele dossier all over again. So what happens is these guys, they cook up a plan. They leak it to the media. They tell the media about it. The media runs a story, and then they cite the media story as the reason for their action. So we're seeing that all over again, and they think the American people are too stupid to figure out this playbook.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned it's the Steele dossier. Some people have said this is the the CIA, a rogue CIA, doing what the rogue FBI couldn't do with Trump-Russia collusion. And now we do have one report saying that this CIA whistleblower, quote whistleblower, was even on the plane on Air Force Two when Joe Biden was in the Ukraine. I mean, so this could be a lot more than, there may be some personal consequences for this guy when we actually look into what actually happened in Ukraine. And let me ask you this, Congressman Rick Crawford, were you kind of maybe not shocked, but in that transcript of that call, the media misconstrued the favor was to investigate Joe Biden. They omit 540 words in order to get to that conclusion. He was actually asking about Ukrainian corruption along with the CrowdStrike server and the hacking of the DNC. And for some reason, the media doesn't want people to know that that's what the president was asking about. What are your thoughts on that?
The reference was not to the 2020 election. The reference was to the 2016 election. If we've sat back now for the last 3 years and said there were some shenanigans in the 2016 election, and it's the president's responsibility to get to the bottom of it. So he asked about the 2016 election, and then they throw a fit about it. How dare you interfere with an election? Look, he's not interfering. He's doing what you asked him to do, and that is to find out what happened in the 2016 election so we can prevent it from happening again. Mm-hmm. There was no mention of the 2020 election. There was no mention of dirt. The mention of dirt came in the parody presentation that Adam Schiff made in the opening comments of the hearing with acting DNI Joe McGuire. When he made those comments in parody, we were flabbergasted by this, by the way. I mean, how in the world can you come and say these things and, put all kinds of subtext in there and present that as fact, and then after the fact, go, oh, well, I was just kidding. No way, no court proceeding in the world would you see that stand. And so that's the difference between a legal proceeding and what you see going on in Congress. And that is, these guys, first off, the witness is sworn, but the members of Congress are not. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to present evidence, you should be sworn. He was attempting to present evidence, and he wasn't sworn, so therefore he wasn't bound to tell the truth. Of course, he's not bound to tell the truth anyway because he's Adam Schiff. He lies every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah.
And so, on the one hand, I don't guess we should be all that surprised about it. On the other hand, it's absolute outrage that he's using his position to try and affect the public opinion. And that's what this was about. That's the reason that the hearing was held in public. A hearing of that nature should never be held in public. So he held that hearing in public exactly for the reason to give him a platform to do this parody, and then afterward pronounce this disclaimer of, well, I was just kidding, so it's not, just relax.
Yeah.
That's entirely unacceptable. So here's the other thing people need to understand, too, about the phone call in question. First, a few things. First off, the president is not a member of the intelligence community. Further, he wasn't engaged in any type of intelligence activity. So that means that the complainant in question had no jurisdiction or no standing to offer a complaint with regard to intelligence, because this was not an intelligence operation, number one. Number two, the president's not a member of the intelligence community. Therefore, a member of the intelligence community would not file a complaint of urgent concern in the intelligence community to address something that he or she believed was a problem when it's completely out of order. I mean, how hard is this to figure out? We're not talking about, this was not a CIA operation, number one. Number two, the president is not a member of the IC. So why is this guy given standing at all?
Yeah.
And so on the front end, you've got to take this stuff serious, and you've got to say, well, look, follow the procedure. And then we find out that the procedure is flawed, and that the ICIG might have even played a role in a flawed procedure by altering the form associated with the disclosure of urgent concern. And so the more you look into this, on the front end, acting DNI Joseph McGuire said we had every reason to think this was credible because it followed the procedure. Then he goes on to say, I took the advice of DOJ counsel, who advised me that this was not an IC matter. Therefore, the ICIG had no jurisdiction. Therefore, it was not incumbent on the acting director of national intelligence to provide that report, to disclose it to the committee.
And that's why they were so. And I just want to say that's why the Democrats were so hard on him, because we now know Adam Schiff, knew who the whistleblower was and was expecting this to have already been cycled into the media narrative, and it wasn't.
Right. I'm going to tell you, you just touched on something too. So Adam Schiff, he's orchestrating this whole thing, and one of two things is going on. Either he is not only being deceitful and let's just be honest with it, flat out lying to the Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee, but he's also lying to his colleagues on the Democrat side. So he's either lying to them as well, or they are complicit, or he's telling them everything he's doing and they're complicit. In either case, we've got a problem. One is they're complicit and they're allowing it to go on and not say anything. Or two, they didn't know what they do now, and they're still not saying anything.
Yeah.
In either case, that's a problem I would not want to be one of those Democrats who either A, knows about it in advance, has been advised of what Schiff's plan is, and is aware of everything that the committee or staff are doing, and says nothing, or two, after the fact, now it's clear, and yet they're remaining silent. In either case, that's a pretty bad position for them to be in.
It is, and now I see a headline where one of these whistleblowers now wants to testify, but only in writing. And I'm just thinking, well, that's just going to be another document that the media can distort and one-sided, and probably run the written testimony past Adam Schiff before you guys see it.
Well, let's be honest about it. The whistleblower complaint was not like any other whistleblower complaint that we know of in the past, and the behavior of the complainant does not comport with the usual whistleblower. And the other thing is that this was basically like a legal document. I don't know if you read the complaint. It's out there in the public sphere. You can see it for yourself. I read the complaint, and not only did the complaint, it was prepared like a legal document with footnotes. Who does that except a lawyer? So that means that he had to have had legal counsel help prepare that document. Who was that legal counsel? I wonder. So and I'm not making any kind of conjecture here, but just so everybody knows, the first thing Adam Schiff did when he assumed the chairmanship of the Intelligence Committee is staff up with a ton of lawyers. So the HIPSI staff, the House Intelligence Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, or HIPSI as we call it, the HIPSI staff on the Dem side is mostly populated with attorneys. We're dealing with oversight of the intelligence community, and they are populated primarily with attorneys, some coming from an NSC background, others with absolutely no background at all in the intelligence community, and more political operatives than anything. But suffice it to say, there's a whole lot of lawyers over there. We've got them on our side, too.
Yeah.
But our staff is comprised of professional staff members who are not attorneys, but are there to help provide guidance in our oversight role and provide support in our oversight role. They've got a couple of those, too, on their side, full disclosure, but they are heavily weighted on the legal side. Well, I'm just pointing that fact out. It's interesting to note that we've got an IC whistleblower complaint that is prepared like a legal document. And, yeah, there's a whole lot of lawyers out there. Could be anybody. But the fact that we now know that the complainant in question, the whistleblower in question, was in collaboration or worked in at least in concert with, to some degree, HIPSI staff and even Adam Schiff himself, who denied having any contact with the whistleblower and then later acknowledged the fact that he did. So another lie that he was caught in. Just kind of makes you think, well, heck, there must have been some help there from someone.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, you can connect the dots any way you want to, but that's out there.
Even the Washington Post, rated, Schiff's statement on that, gave Pinocchios. We're talking with Congressman Rick Crawford. He's on the Intelligence Committee. He's got a lot of knowledge here, a lot of them I'm sure he can't share. I do want to talk a little bit about China. And we can go anywhere we want with this, but a lot of people are saying with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in Ukraine, they're like, okay, now do China, and we know what happened with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in China. We also have a situation where we've talked about this. You were on Roby Brock's program, Talk Business and Politics, last couple of weeks, where you said, the Chinese are not coming to Arkansas to help us. They can't be trusted. And then in the news today, Congressman Crawford, or this week, we have the revealing of how influential China has become to the NBA and to Hollywood. And it's really just sickening to see these people sell out American principles because they want that market over in China. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I think the NBA is it's important to note the role that they have in this whole cultural war, is really as much as anything is what's taking place, among other things, in a propaganda battle. But so the NBA is right there in the mix, but so is Hollywood. And here's the dirty little secret, that American businesses and American investment is so huge and important in China that there are a whole lot of folks that don't want to have this conversation. We're just too heavily invested in China to apply the same level of standards to that country as we would for any other. And I'll give you an example. You know, we hold up all these red flags about why we don't trade with Cuba. And we don't trade with Cuba because, number one, they're communist nations. Because we don't trade with communist nations. Number two, they have an egregious human rights violation record. We don't trade with countries that have human rights violation records. Number three, they suppress the media and free speech. We don't deal with countries that suppress media and free speech. Number four, they persecute religious minorities, ethnic minorities. We don't deal with countries who do that. Oh, wait. Yeah, we do, to the tune of trillions of dollars in China. So why do we have this duplicitous stance with Cuba, but not the same standard with China? And the reason is because we don't have trillions of dollars invested in Cuba. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we have to protect our investment. I'm sick of this. I'm really so sick of these people that want to sit back and pretend that China is not an existential threat to the United States, but Cuba is. I mean, if we're going to do it, if we're going to trade with China, let's just be honest. Let's have the intellectual honesty to say, well, you know, look, if we're willing to trade with those dirtbags, then pretty much everybody's on the table.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about the egregious records in Saudi Arabia if you're not willing to address the egregious record in China. Don't talk to me about Pakistan if you're not willing to address China. Don't talk to me about Cuba if you're not willing to address China. And so, look, all I'm asking for is consistency. Either we're going to say who we are and what our standards are and live by that, or we're not. And that's the problem that I have with this whole China thing. And, you know, the other thing is that at the height of the Cold War, we still had an economic relationship with the Soviet Union. Whether it was right or wrong, the fact remains that we still traded with that regime, and yet we have these different set of standards. So our ethics in the business world exists on a sliding scale. I'm willing to overlook a whole lot of crap if I can make a buck on it, is basically what they're saying. And then on this huge scale, the NBA is so invested in China that they're willing to just do whatever China says. Do you know what? The tweet went out from the Houston Rockets general manager, and they don't even have Twitter in China.
Yeah.
How many Chinese people do you think saw that tweet?
Yeah, no.
They suppress everything there. Why do you think they're doing this? Because they're exerting control in the United States. They're showing the rest of the world how much pressure they can put on the United States, and the NBA folded like a cheap lawn chair. And when you got people like Steve Kerr and Popovich who are willing to address any issue at all, except for China, we're not going to talk about that. And then you have the Houston management saying that a CNN reporter asked a question about China. Oh, no, we're only going to talk about basketball. Really? You're only going to talk about basketball? You guys have been talking about every social issue that you can find for the last 10 years, but now we're only going to talk about basketball when we address a topic that you're not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a boycott person, but I've been really studying. The NBA was at one point, you know, a venerable institution, and they showed exactly the complete and total lack of integrity, lack of character that they have and that they're built on, mm-hmm. and the lack of patriotism that exists in that institution.
Yeah.
So people can make their own decisions about whether or not they want to support the NBA, but I can tell you what, it's absolutely disgusting to see. And when I remember when Chicago Bulls were dominant and Steve Kerr was a part of that, and I thought, man, these guys are just awesome, and Steve Kerr was a great player. He is a pure coward, and I have no regard for those people.
Yeah, and they're circling the wagons with this, and it again, you know, the Chinese have done a really good job buying off American industries. I mean, I don't know what else we can say besides, you know, go ahead.
The irony of that, Paul, is that they've done it with American money. because what the underpinning of their economy is foreign direct investment. They don't invest in themselves. They don't grow their own economy. They don't build their own economy. It's not organic. It's grown and sustained by foreign direct investment. U.S. investment that's being turned, our money used against us in every form you can think, whether it's propaganda, weaponized, whether it's military hardware, weaponized, that we paid for through our foreign direct investment that's now being turned against us. When are the American people going to wake up, smell the coffee?
Yeah, and I'll just let you know real quick to comment. I know you did comment on Roby Brock's show, specifically about what Arkansas is facing, and your warning, and I think I've been trying to tell everybody about it, your warning is that we can't really trust the Chinese when they start talking about investing money here in Arkansas.
Well, look, this hits home for farmers, for example. For the last 20 years or so, Chinese have been, hinting about, well, we would like to import U.S. rice, but we want to come and take a look at your operation first. They do it all the time. They want to come in and steal everything we have. They want to take our proprietary technology. They want to take our genetic, our varietal, technology and all the other things that support the rice industry, get their hands on it and apply it in their own way. They're not here because they want to buy U.S. rice. I'd be happy to sell them U.S. rice. That's not what this is about, because every time they move the goalposts, and then they have the temerity to challenge us on things like phytosanitary protocols, and then, oh, sorry, we can't buy U.S. rice because it's not up to our standards. Are you kidding? They're the most egregious violator of any kind of climate rules on the planet, and they're going to lecture us on phytosanitary protocols. My point is this: these people are not here to invest and improve in the American economy. They are here to steal everything they can and use it against us.
Yeah.
And so I cannot warm up to Chinese investment in the United States. I'm not against foreign investment in the United States per se, but I am foursquare against Chinese investment in the United States because they're not here for economic purposes. They are here to damage our economy and take what they can get to improve their own economy. And that's the bottom line, and that is the case wherever they go.
Congressman Rick
They
Crawford,
are not this magnanimous investor.
We're out of time. It's always great. I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate the service that you're doing for the state of Arkansas, sir. Have a great weekend and be safe.
Yes, sir. You too.
Okay, folks, we got to take a break.